Introduction. Technology development leads to profound changes in many spheres of human activity, including education. Adopting digital platforms for classroom purposes can significantly affect teaching and learning outcomes by expanding access to information and providing new training tools. Moreover, the increased interactive possibilities that modern computers, tablets, and smartphones offer to users improve students' and professors' engagement and motivation. Therefore, technological assistance in education is believed to be a crucial part of developing the knowledge and skills necessary in the 21st century. Acknowledging potential opportunities that the digitalization of schools and universities creates, Jamaica seeks ways to enhance the presence of modern tools within related institutions. The country's educational system representatives define the pursuit of students' learning enhancement through the wide-range implementation of information and communication technologies as one of the main development strategies. In light of this, Mullings describes one's experience being a part of the Flow Technology Competition Judging Committee in the year 2012, which helps to illuminate the technological condition of Jamaican schools at that instant. Therefore, the current essay seeks to identify the innovative use of digital tools in the country's classrooms that were mentioned by the author. Moreover, the extent to which the level of innovation is related to the national policy will be discussed. Identification of innovative technology usage in Jamaican schools. The author states that in 2012 Flow Company, which specializes in telecommunications, launched a competition among Jamaican schools to discover how the latter adopted technology to enhance students' learning. It was found that although generally, schools lacked traditional computer labs, many classrooms had overhead projectors, web cameras, and TV sets. Moreover, certain educational institutions offer professional software programs to their students, such as AutoCAD, which allows the creation of 2D and 3D drawings on the computer. Additionally, Mullings discovered that many teachers actually use the technologies to diversify information delivery methods to the students. They played the videos from different media platforms such as YouTube, showed discovery documentary movies, and engaged in video conferencing with other schools in Jamaica or in other countries. For instance, the author states that back in the United States, he used the Skype platform to connect students with those in Jamaica. In Mullings' opinion, that helps to reduce prejudice that exists towards the latter from developed countries. Furthermore, some schools were offering computer literacy courses for parents in order to increase family involvement in the students' education process. The author argues that the education of adults will also have an important impact on the country's future development. Alignment of identified innovations with national policy. The Jamaican government is highly determined to build a society that will successfully thrive during the 21st century, possessing competitive skills in the international arena. It recognizes the consequences of globalization with a high exchange rate in human capital and seeks not to lag behind other countries in the process of preparation of highly knowledgeable professionals. However, the National Development Plan Vision 2030 Jamaica states that insufficient use of informational technologies at all levels is one of the main challenges in the educational sphere that the country faces. Therefore, the document defines countrywide school digitalization to be among the most important priorities for future development. In order to achieve that goal, the government plans to address the problem from various perspectives. The primary, most obvious step includes the provision of schools and students with computers, laptops, tablets, and software programs. Next, schools should hire teachers with strong digital competence or provide conditions for current employees to enhance their technological skills. Special attention should be paid to rural areas where a lack of qualified workforce exists. Lastly, students should be taught at least the basic skills. Vision 2030 Jamaica maintains that 11th grade graduates should be able to satisfy at least the minimum computer literacy requirements. They, firstly, should know how to create Word documents and use functions of copy, paste, save and print. Secondly, students should be acquainted with simple Microsoft Excel spreadsheet creation procedures and basic operations that the program offers. Finally, they should be able to access internet websites and send and receive electronic mail messages. In addition, the policy document acknowledges the importance of the parental role in the study process. It is argued that family members' lack of engagement in students' school lives is negatively associated with children's performance level, especially during the primary education period. Therefore, Strategy 1.3.2 of the educational policy seeks to strengthen school-home relationships and parental involvement in early education. Moreover, Strategy 4.1.5 recognizes the necessity to develop platforms that facilitate effective parenting at all levels of the education system and in school governance and decision-making. However, one of the shortcomings of the proposed action plan is the absence of the particularly emphasized role of information technologies in the aforementioned processes. Mullings's article clearly indicates that schools were already proceeding toward informational technology adoption to some extent after 3 years that the plan was published. However, most of the institutions were still at the primary stages of innovative development as they commonly used television sets, projectors, and webcams but lacked computer classes. Despite that, the positive news is that teachers could use the technologies that they possess to enhance students' learning effectively by showing YouTube videos and documentary movies and organizing online conferences with other schools. Furthermore, despite the lack of concrete policy prescriptions, some schools have already started providing IT courses for parents and family members, which would help the latter to assist and better monitor students' educational process. The author also notes that such an innovative approach to education did not hesitate to reveal its positive results. For instance, Waterford Primary School provided data on learning improvements after the opening of the computer class. It was found that in a 3-year period, literacy surged from 58% in 2009 to 72.6%, while numeracy increased from 25% to 42% accordingly. Conclusion. In summary, the current essay, firstly, identified the main innovative methods of using technology in order to enhance students' learning applied in Jamaican schools based on the article of Mullings. It was found that most schools possessed overhead projectors and TV sets that were used to play videos from the internet or educational movies. Additionally, web cameras that allowed students to interact with their peers from other schools in Jamaica and abroad were also highly available. Lesser schools, however, offer computer classes and professional software programs that allow students to gain practical knowledge in the sphere of information technology. Moreover, some schools had special courses for digital literacy for parents in order to further support the students in their studies. Secondly, the extent to which innovations presented at schools relate to the Jamaican national policy was analyzed. It was found that the schools generally sought to adhere to the policy elaborated in Vision 2030 Jamaica by the government. However, the predominant number of educational institutions was still on the primary level of technology innovative behavior due to the short period of time that passed since the introduction of the development plan. This and many other essays are available at studycorgi.com.